Hey, what is up, YouTube? So I do have a little bit of work to do on the 73 Chevy C10. And I also have to finish up some work on the 70 Chevelle to get that one going. And of course, we got the 62 Chevy Nova that we're going to do an LS3 swap. And check out this engine. We picked this up from Pro Touring Store. So make sure you guys hit them up if you guys need an LS3 crate engine. And for those of you that follow me on Instagram, I did make a list of the top 4 upgrades that you do not want to do. They're a complete waste of money. Now, when I say upgrades, this means you already have a part and you're either upgrading it as in buying an aftermarket part, either for performance or for cosmetic, for looks. So let's go over why these are the top 4 worst upgrades you could do to your LS swap. So starting off the list with number 4, and this is purely cosmetic, and that's a Holley 2-piece valve cover upgrade. Hey, don't get me wrong, these things look badass, and I've used them before, and the main reason they're used is purely cosmetic. They're used to cover up all these coils here on the GM engines because the coils look like crap. They're sticking out. So that valve cover covers them up and it makes it look more like old school, like an old school Chevy big block. But at $600, I'm going to show you a few of the options that you have that are better choices. But first, let's go over a few different reasons why I don't like them besides the price. So right off the bat, there's only 2 types of LS ignition coils that will work with this valve cover. The first one is the LS1 engine coil, which I doubt anybody has an LS1 that they're doing an LS swap with. And the second one is a Gen 5 coils. And not many people are running those. So regardless, you're probably going to have to replace all your coils. And if you get quality coils, you're probably looking at $40 to $60 each. Now, the second issue I see with these valve covers is that there's nowhere to add oil to them. So if for some reason you swap them out and you need to do an oil change, because you will need to do an oil change, there's nowhere to add oil. You have to actually pull the top part of the cover off, so that way you can get to the filler neck where you add oil. So if you look at the top part has the LS1 coils. You're only going to use LS1 coils if you have an LS1 engine, because the connector is underneath it. It's right here. So if you have anything newer than an LS1 engine, your harness will not fit to these points right here. So you're only going to use an LS1 coil if you have an LS1 engine already. And if you notice, you'll have to pull the coil off every time you want to add oil because the filler neck or the filler port is covered up by the coil. So let's assume that you guys are going to use the Gen 5 coils, because pretty much that'll work with any other harness that we have out there for the LS engines. So the good thing about this is, unlike the LS1 coils, you don't have to pull the coil off to get to the oil fill port. You do have to put the top part of the cover off. It doesn't matter which coils you use. You're always going to have to pull the top part of the valve cover off to get access to the oil port. Okay, so here's the biggest issue with using these coils here, which you pretty much have to use, is that you notice how the coils are pointed to the left. Now, these valve covers, they could go on either side. They're exactly the same. So they could go on the left side or the passenger side or the driver's side. And they both have the same port to fill it up with oil. So you can fill it up from the driver's side or from the passenger side. But if you see how the coil is pointing towards the left, so if this was installed on the driver's side, that means the coil will be pointing towards the front of the car. Now, if you have these installed and you take off the top part of the cover off, you have to slide it towards the left to pull it off to clear the coils. Now, if this is on the driver's side, you're going to hit the alternator. So you have to pretty much remove the alternator to pull off the driver's side top part coil cover off. So the last time I installed these was on an accessory kit made by Holley that was the same length as a truck pulley, which we know has the most amount of space in between the valve covers and the accessories. So it's the first away from the front of the engine. And even that, I had to pull the alternator off to slide this off so I wouldn't scratch it. All right, so here you can see the valve covers installed, and you can see if you try to take off the top part of the valve cover and you got to slide it towards the front, you're going to hit the power steering on this vehicle, on this specific setup. So now this is the issue that I'm talking about. So I know what some of you guys are thinking, Swap, you're just being a hater. You're just hating on Holley. I'll just install it on the passenger side and I won't have any issues. Okay, let's take a look at the passenger side. So yeah, you guys are correct. You don't have to slide it forward and you're not going to hit the AC compressor or anything over here. But don't forget, you got to slide it to the left. So to the left on the passenger side is back. Now, you think that firewall's going to move for you, or you think you're going to hit it when you try to pull these coil covers off? All right, so let's recap why I think these valve covers are crap. Now, right off the bat, it's a $600 price plus taxes or shipping or whatever you have to pay. Second is you probably have to get new coils because you're not going to have the LS1 coils or the Gen 5 coils. And then third is removing them. You have to remove the top part to add oil or anytime you do an oil change to your vehicle. So let's go over some better alternatives. If all you're worried about is hiding the coils on your LS engine, I've used these and I picked them up from Jegs. They're made by Jegs, and all they are is coil covers that attach to what you already have. And the best part is that they have this little adapter here that extends the oil filler neck. So that way you don't have to pull these off every time you gotta change or add oil. You just unscrew this and then you add oil directly into it and it goes into the engine. So that's one of the best parts about it. They fit pretty much any LS engine and you don't have to get special coils for them. And they're a fraction of the cost. I think I paid like $185 for these shipped. So if you're just looking to hide the coils, this is definitely another option. They come plain. I added this piece right here just to make it look custom and to match the vehicle that's for. But they come plain. You can powder coat them or you get them in like polished silver. So these are nice if you're on a budget and you still want to have like a clean looking engine bay. But if you're looking for something a little higher end that performs better than the Holley ones, maybe a little bit pricier, I picked up this set for my vehicle. These are from Wagner. And what I like about these is that they're still two-piece valve covers like the ones from Holley, except they're a lot better. They're more thought out. So they also have the oil filler plug here, so you can actually fill them up. And you don't have to pull these off, the valve covers off, just to fill up the oil anytime you do oil changes. You can just unscrew this here. They do have the breather in the back for the PCV. But what I like about them is that you can customize them. You can put whatever you want on the front. You can leave them plain. You can put them your logo. You can put in whatever engine you have. So obviously we have the LSX 454 crate engine and it's Chevelle. So I thought this was a clean design. Now they are pricier. These are around $1,200, but they give you a really clean look and they're a lot better than the Holley ones because they're a lot more functional and they're a lot easier to service them down the road whenever you got to do oil changes. And the last option, if you're dead set on getting the same style that Holley makes, you get some knockoffs from Amazon. They're exactly the same, the quality wise, and they won't say Chevrolet. They might not say Holley on them, but they're pretty much the same. And if you see any negative reviews, it pretty much says the same thing that I've already covered, that you can't really add oil to them because the covers are on. You have to take them off, and that's the same issue with Holley. So if you're looking to save some money, just get the knockoffs from Amazon. All right, guys, so moving on to number 3, and it's that same thing that we were trying to hide for the last 10 minutes, and that's the ignition coils. So ignition coils are going to be considered a performance upgrade. People don't swap them out just because they look prettier. And now you can see most of your LS swaps will come with some kind of coils. Most of them are OEM. The Chevelle has OEM coils. The Nova has OEM coils, and they work just fine. Even the truck that makes over 1,200 horsepower, it may like go on 996 to the wheels. Even that one has stock AC Delco GM coils, and we had no issues. Now the reason I say don't upgrade these, because even if you buy some quality ones from like MSD or some well-known company, you're gonna have issues. These stock coils, they'll last you easily 200,000 miles. I've used MSD coils before and they probably lasted me like 20,000, maybe 30,000 miles before I started having random misfires. The quality just isn't there, guys. Just stick to the OEM stuff and you'll be fine. And for God's sake, never get some crappy Chinese coils from Amazon or eBay. Those things are garbage and they'll probably won't even last you 10 miles. Avoid these at all costs. Don't have to upgrade your coils. Stick with the stock stuff and you'll be fine with that. Again, this is the top 4 worst upgrades you could do. And changing coils is definitely number 3. All right, so number 2 on the list is going to be another money grab from Holley, and that's going to be the radiator kits, also known as the Frostbite Radiator LS Swap Kit. And look, I know some of you Holley fanboys are going to come at me in the comments saying, hey, but swap, Holley makes some quality products. They're an American-made company, and they supply quality aftermarket parts for the consumer. Well, here's my main issue with the Holley radiator. So let's go ahead and assume that this is a good radiator and it's gonna last you a while, and for $700 you can't go wrong. But here's the issue: that radiator looks very similar to this radiator, and you can even see the pictures almost look identical, and you can see the price is a huge difference. Now, I'm not trying to say that one company makes Holley's radiators, but what I am trying to say is that you could easily use Google and figure it out for yourself. So that's assuming you want to use a Holley Frostbite kit. I just give you a different option to save you some money. But if all you care about is just keeping your engine cool, I've used a ton of different radiator options. Something like this is a custom setup for this Nova. I've also used some of the higher end brands, like on the Chevelle. I'm using a Be Cool radiator. This entire kit was around $1,500, but it has good fans on it, so that's one plus. And I've also used a lot of radiators from Amazon. So, for example, on the Chevy truck, this radiator is from Amazon. Now, I'm not going to mention the brand because I don't want to give out the brand name and then you guys use it and it fails you and you're blaming me. But I've used a bunch of radiators from Amazon, and honestly, I've never had issues with them. All I do is upgrade the fans to some Spall fans, and the radiator works fine, especially out here in California where it gets around 115, 120 degrees in certain areas, then it still keeps the engine cool. And coming in at the #1 spot for the worst upgrade you could do to your LS swap, that's going to be these sheet metal intakes. Now, I'm not calling out a certain brand because Holley makes them, Summit makes them. There's a bunch of fakes on Amazon that different companies make them. So it doesn't matter who makes them. They're all pretty much the same. But what I am saying is if you already have an LS engine and it already has an intake, if you switch over to a sheet metal intake, you're going to lose horsepower, you're going to lose torque. Now, some of these newer sheet metal intakes, they have improved the design so you don't lose as much horsepower or as much torque. But if you're upgrading it, that means you're going to spend money to replace it, and you're going to lose horsepower, and you're going to lose torque. Now, there is sometimes when you want to swap out the intake for a sheet metal intake, and that's, let's say you have clearance issues with the hood, or maybe you're going to go booster, so you don't really care about airflow. But other than that, upgrading to one of these over a stock intake is really going to make you lose money, lose horsepower, and lose torque. So I don't really recommend this upgrade. There is a lot better options out there for intakes, but they are a lot pricier. All right, guys, so that's it for this list of the top 4 wasted upgrades for your LS swap. Did I get it right? Was I off? Is there some stuff that's even a worse upgrade? Let me know in the comments down below. And for the next video, I'm going to do the top 4 upgrades that are the best upgrades you can do for your LS swap. I'll catch you guys in the next video. And now it's time for me to put this LS3 into the 62 Nova.